Welcome to Show Machshava on the Daf. The Shir and Perek Chelik is sponsored Lunishmas Am B'Hakashom Le'Abbas Yitzchok. We're holding at Sanhedrin Daf Tzadik Dalet. The Gemara in Dalet tells us that Bikesh HaKadosh Baruch Hu La'asos Chizkiyahu Moshiach v'Sancheriv Gog Umagog. Kadosh Baruch Hu planned to do Chizkiyahu as Mashiach and Sancheriv to be Gog Umagog. What's the pshat, the Chizkiyahu, out of all the other Melochim there were in Am Yisrael, he should be Mashiach? And why is Sancheriv representing Gog Umagog? So to understand this, we're using the Mahalach that my Rebbe Moshiach Peretz said over here in Perek Chelik. And he gave you a new understanding which is not so clear for the Mefarshim over here. The Maharal in Netzach Yisrael Perek Lamed explains that when it comes the Milchama of Am Yisrael against Gog Umagog, what is exactly the difference? Yisrael are representing Echad. Yisrael are Uma Yechido representing HaKadosh Baruch Hu, who is Echad. And connected them come Gog Umagog, which represents all the Umas Olam. Kayadua, it's brought down in the name of the Arizal, the Vilna Gaon says it, that Gog Umagog is Gematria 70, because it represents all 70 Umas. So the essence of Gog Umagog is the many together. Mashiach and Am Yisrael represents the one. That's the milchama that comes at the end of days. Now throughout the daf over here, we're going to see the Ma'ilo of Chizkiyahu, that Chizkiyahu really represents the HaKadosh Baruch Hu's Echad. Chizkiyahu, as the Gemara is going to say in Amud Beis, goes throughout all Am Yisrael and forces everybody to learn Torah. As Rav Moshe said in the name of Rav Gifter, what's the idea that he's forcing Am Yisrael to learn Torah, and if not, they're killed? It's not mitzad limud Torah. You don't force a person to learn Torah mitzad Torah. He's forcing Am Yisrael to learn Torah mitzad malchus. When there is a melech, and the melech can put a decree on his nation. So Chizkiyahu's decree for his nation was to learn Torah. So he's bringing HaKadosh Baruch Hu Echad Kemalchus, to bring Malchus Hashem in the world. Because he's bringing the Torah when you have a king that puts everybody together, and out of Melech is combining everybody to learn Torah. The Gemara says the Chizkiyahu has 8 names, because 8 belongs to Mashiach specifically. The Gemara in Erechim tells us that the kinoi that will be in the time of Mashiach is going to have 8 strings to it. Today it's only 7, and then it will be 8. What's in Mashiach? You have a connection of 8. 8 represents connecting to the Rebbeinu Shalom. Bris Milah is in the 8th day. Kayadua, the Maral speaks about it a lot. Mashiach belongs to the number 8 because Mashiach brings the Gilu HaKadosh Baruch Hu to the world. Chizkiyahu is one who is bringing the Gilu of Hashem in this world. Rav Moshe connected to here what is brought down in Midrash Eichel, that when the Melachim spoke to HaKadosh Baruch Hu, it was at different levels. David HaMelech told HaKadosh Baruch Hu, Erdefa oivai v'asigim. I want to run after my enemies. I also told HaKadosh Baruch Hu, I can't really fight the enemies, but I want to just run after them and you will do the rest. Then Yehoshaphat HaMelech says, I can't even go and run after them, but I want to say a shira and you do the rest. And Chizkiyahu says, I can't do anything, I'm going to sleep and you do the rest. That's the ultimate Gilu HaKadosh Baruch Hu in the world, when Adam is completely reliant on Hashem and brings Gilu Hashem by saying, I don't have anything on my own, everything is done through HaKadosh Baruch Hu. So Chizkiyahu brings Gilu Hashem in the world, and that's what the tafkid of Melech HaMashiach is to do, is to take all the mechitzos, all the different barriers, the cause that we don't see HaKadosh Baruch Hu clearly in the world, and that's what Mashiach brings to this world. Connected this comes Gog Umagog. Gog Umagog trying to go against the Echad, against the Gilu of the Echad. And that's by taking the Umas Olam together and creating a different Echad, a different unity. Avraham Avinu is called Avraham Ivri because he was Pirish from Dora Palaga. But also the Bavel, Ashur is also called that way. Because it says in the Medrash Rabbah, Bereshis Amud Zayin Daled, on the Pasuk, Min HaOretz Yotza Ashur, Min HaEitz Yotza Ashur. In other words, he left. He didn't want to be the Eitz of Dora Palaga, where they're separating to separate entities. He does something else. He combines Umas Olam to be an Echad, which is connected to the ultimate Echad. And the Maharal here in Chidushei Haggados, when he starts his Nekuda on this Sugya, He says that Sancheriv bilbil kula humus. Sancheriv, he goes and he mixes up all the humus, and that's what Gog Umagog going to do. And what he mentioned before, Gog Umagog combines all the humus together. And Gog Umagog coming against HaKadosh Baruch Hu as mentioned, and Sancheriv was mechar for Megadef. So Keneged the Echod, the Chizkiyahu is coming to bring, you have Sancheriv who's doing the opposite. So if Chizkiyahu is Keneged Melech HaMashiach, Sancheriv is the exact opposite, and he's the one who represents Gog Umagog. Gog Umagog is the opposite of Mashiach. And that's what the Gemara is going to say later, that Sancheriv has 8 names as well. Because he represents always the opposite of Mashiach. Mashiach is the real Echad, Gog Umagog is the fake Echad. Chizkiyahu has 8 names connected to Hashem, Sancheriv has 8 names that do not connect to Hashem. So Chizkiyahu is be'etzem roy to be Mashiach, and immediately the one who comes to fight him, Sancheriv, is Gog Umagog. And the next year we'll explain why, based on this, Chizkiyahu lost the opportunity to be Mashiach. Anyone who wants to join Shomachshava email us to what's to go, please email shomachshava@gmail.com.